There are mornings when you open your eyes, yet the world feels unbearably heavy. The bed, once a place of rest, becomes a quiet refuge, a cocoon where time stands still. You tell yourself you're tired or lazy or unmotivated. But I, Carl Jung, tell you something different. That urge to stay in bed is not weakness. It is communication. The psyche never acts without meaning. When the soul resists the day, it is not rebellion against life. It is a plea for understanding. There are moments when you wake up and feel an invisible weight pressing down on you. The room is quiet, the light gentle, yet everything feels impossibly heavy. You tell yourself you're simply tired, that you'll rise in 5 minutes, but the truth is deeper, much deeper. I, Carl Jung, would tell you that what you call exhaustion is not always physical. The body often speaks the language the soul has been silenced from using. When the spirit is weary, the body slows down to make you listen. Modern life glorifies productivity. You are taught to measure your worth by how much you do, not by how deeply you feel. You are told to wake up early, move faster, achieve more, and ignore the whisper inside that says, "I can't." But the psyche is ancient and wise. It rebels against a life lived only on the surface. The body becomes its messenger, slowing you down, anchoring you in bed, forcing you to confront what the conscious mind refuses to acknowledge. This is not laziness. It is communication from the depths of your being. The desire to stay in bed is often a symptom of spiritual exhaustion, the kind that comes when the inner and outer worlds fall out of harmony. You go through the motions, wear the right masks, say the right words, and yet inside something withers. Perhaps you have given too much of yourself to others and too little to your own becoming. Perhaps you have been strong for too long, and the soul finally demands to rest in truth. The bed becomes a symbol, not of idleness, but of a need to retreat into yourself, to mend what's been fragmented. Your soul has its own language, and when you ignore it, it finds a way to speak through sensations, moods, or fatigue. It says, "Listen to me. Stop running." When you keep pushing past your emotional limits, you lose touch with the natural rhythm of your psyche. The unconscious then pulls the brakes. The body feels it first. The heaviness you experience isn't always from sleeplessness or stress. It's the accumulated weight of emotions never felt, words never said, truths never lived. The next time you feel that irresistible pull to stay under the covers, don't fight it immediately. Instead, ask yourself, what is my body trying to tell me? Is there grief I haven't faced? Is there anger I've buried? Is there a dream I've neglected? Sometimes the body forces stillness so that the soul can finally speak. This is the wisdom hidden beneath your fatigue. Remember, healing doesn't always look like movement. Sometimes it looks like stillness, silence, surrender. The body is not your enemy, it is your ally. When it refuses to cooperate with the demands of a restless world, it may be protecting you from further fragmentation. Instead of labeling yourself lazy or weak, consider that your psyche is guiding you inward, calling you to restore balance between doing and being. When you begin to listen, truly listen, the heaviness starts to shift. Not because you've willed it away, but because you've allowed space for your inner truth to be heard. The urge to stay in bed, then, is not merely avoidance. It's the body's way of asking for compassion, for reconnection, for meaning. And once that meaning is found, you will rise, not out of obligation, but out of alignment with your deepest self. When you begin to listen, truly listen to what your body is saying, another voice begins to stir from within. One you may not want to hear, yet one that holds immense power. It is the voice of your shadow, the part of you that has been exiled, rejected, or denied for far too long. The urge to stay in bed, to withdraw from the world, often arises when the shadow is knocking at the door of your consciousness, demanding to be seen. You see, every human being wears two faces, the one we show to the world and the one we hide, even from ourselves. Society teaches you to show confidence, joy, control, and strength. But what happens to the other emotions? The anger, the envy, the fear, the sadness, the longing that doesn't fit into the polished version of yourself. They do not disappear simply because you've chosen to ignore them. They sink into the unconscious, into the shadow, waiting for the moment you are too tired to keep pretending. When you cannot rise from bed, when you feel detached from life's rhythm, it may be because the shadow is trying to pull you inward. It whispers, "Look at me. You cannot keep living divided." The heaviness you feel is not always depression. Sometimes it's confrontation. It's the psyche saying, "You've run far enough. Now you must turn around and face what you've buried." The shadow contains not only darkness, but also suppressed vitality, the energy of your unlived life. Every emotion you've denied holds power. Every fear you've avoided guards a lesson. Every desire you've shamed hides a piece of your wholeness. When these are ignored, they don't vanish. They manifest as fatigue, lack of motivation, emotional numbness. The bed becomes the last safe space where your conscious defense is lower, just enough for the unconscious to whisper truths you've avoided. In my work, I saw countless individuals who mistook this confrontation for weakness. They believed something was wrong with them when in truth, their psyche was attempting to heal itself. The shadow doesn't seek to destroy you, it seeks to be integrated. To acknowledge it is to bring light to what was hidden. To ignore it is to continue the inner war that drains your life force. The energy you spend repressing what you fear could instead be used for creation, love, and meaning. Ask yourself, what part of me am I refusing to see? Perhaps you've silenced your anger so long it now turns inward, eroding your spirit. Perhaps your sadness has become shame because you were told to always appear strong. Or perhaps your longing for freedom feels like guilt because you were taught to conform. Each of these fragments belongs to you, and until you make peace with them, you will not feel whole. The bed becomes the battlefield where this unconscious struggle unfolds, where your true self asks to be recognized without judgment. Do not rush to escape this phase. Sitting with your shadow requires patience and courage. The act of resting, of staying in bed, may be your soul's way of saying, "Stop running, look here, heal this." When you meet your shadow with compassion rather than resistance, the energy once trapped in darkness begins to flow again. You awaken lighter, clearer, more aligned. The path to healing is not about erasing your darkness, but understanding it. Your shadow is not your enemy. It is the doorway to your authenticity. When you learn to love even the parts you once rejected, your inner world transforms. The urge to stay in bed fades, not because you've forced yourself to move, but because you've finally reclaimed your lost energy. What was once a weight becomes wisdom. What once felt like despair becomes depth. And from that depth, you rise, not as who the world expects you to be, but as who you truly are. And when you rise from that depth, you begin to understand that the body's stillness was not only an act of resistance, it was an invitation to renew. The need to stay in bed, to withdraw from the noise and pressure of the world, often emerges when the soul demands a sacred pause. Modern life glorifies constant movement, productivity, performance, engagement. But the psyche does not thrive on perpetual motion. It breathes in cycles, in rhythms, in moments of contraction and release. When you feel unable to get up, it may not always be fatigue. Sometimes it is the psyche pulling you back toward its center, asking you to recharge the inner world that has been long neglected. Inner renewal begins when you stop forcing yourself to move at the speed of everyone else. The stillness of the bed becomes a symbolic cocoon, a place where what has been worn out can dissolve and something new can take shape. Just as nature withdraws in winter to prepare for spring, the human soul too retreats when growth has outpaced balance. It's not failure, it's regeneration. Your mind and body are seeking alignment again, a synchronization between what you do and who you are. Often, when people come to me and say, I don't feel like doing anything anymore, what they're really expressing is spiritual exhaustion. They have been living in ways that contradict their inner truth for too long. They have given their time, love, and energy to roles that don't feed their essence. The urge to stay in bed then becomes a cry for authenticity. The need to shed borrowed identities and rediscover what feels real. You are not lazy for feeling tired. You are simply reaching the edge of what your false self can sustain. To renew yourself, you must allow the old structures to fall. Let the silence hold you. Let your breath become your teacher again. Renewal is not about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. As you rest, your unconscious mind reorganizes itself, your emotions settle, and your intuitive energy returns. It's as if your inner world is sweeping away the dust of unprocessed thoughts, clearing space for new meaning to emerge. But here is what many forget. Renewal cannot happen without surrender. You must let go of the need to control your healing. You must trust that the psyche knows what it's doing. Sometimes your body will pull you down because your soul is rising up. When you resist, you delay the process. But when you surrender to it, when you listen, you begin to heal not through effort, but through awareness. When you emerge from this inner retreat, you will notice subtle changes. The world will look the same, yet something within you will have shifted. You will move with greater ease, speak with more truth, and choose with more intention. The small joys, the sunlight through your window, the warmth of a voice, the stillness of a morning, will begin to matter again. You'll no longer chase life. You'll allow it to flow through you. The need for inner renewal is, in essence, the soul's longing for intimacy, not with another, but with yourself. And here lies a hidden truth about love and attraction. Until you reconnect with your own depths, you cannot fully connect with another. The energy that draws others to you, that magnetic presence often mistaken for charm, is born from self-acceptance. When you honor your cycles, your need for rest, reflection, and renewal, you radiate authenticity. People are drawn to that, for it mirrors what they secretly crave within themselves. In the end, the urge to stay in bed is not the problem. It is the message. It says, pause, heal, remember. Do not rush to escape your stillness. It holds the blueprint for your transformation. As you renew yourself from within, you awaken not just with energy, but with depth. You begin to love differently, but more patiently, more truthfully. You attract differently, not from need, but from wholeness. And that, I believe, is the most profound kind of awakening there is, when you rise not merely rested, but reborn, guided by psychology, balanced in spirit and attuned to the quiet, enduring rhythm of love. If this message speaks to your soul, don't just scroll away, hit like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who needs a little light today. Let Carl Jung's timeless wisdom help you reconnect with your purpose and heal what words can't express.